Hey everyone, it's Carter King. If you're an educator, a leader, or just a parent who wants to teach kids about space, check out my newest book, Carter's Journey Through Space. It's available now on Amazon, Target, and bookstores everywhere. Come explore the universe with me.
Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create ecosystems and environments where people thrive. Today's conversation, I am just so excited about. We're going to be talking about the mindset, the mechanics, and mastery behind high converting sales. Because if you're building anything, you're selling something. And to help us level up, I'm joined by someone who is truly in a league of her own. My friend Deborah Newton. She is a proven sales guru. She is a president and CEO of Newton Steel. And she's a strategist with over decades worth of sales mastery. And she's going to be talking to us about sales secrets, the psychology of effective selling, and how to create a connection without pressure. Because some of y'all be real pushy when it comes to sales. Deborah, how you doing? It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Look, I know we were talking behind the scenes, and it's so good to see you after your snowstorm and Thanksgiving story.
Yes.
What is one thing that you're just excited about? It's the last month of the year. What's one thing that you're just super excited about?
That's a great question because there's a lot of things. To pick one, I don't know. That's a really good question. I think I love beginning of the months, just like the beginning of the year. It's new, it's fresh, it's clean. The new calendar to be able to. I think it was Anna Green Gables that tomorrow's a new day with no mistakes in it.
I like that one.
I don't know why that stuck in my head for talk about decades later. But yeah, there's a lot. It's exciting and bringing things to a close in a new year, a fresh start. So
it's interesting. I was on a call. This was yesterday, and a gentleman brought up a great philosophy and perspective that he gave. He said, oftentimes we look at December as like a wash month. We're so focused on January 1st and our New Year's resolutions and our goals and all of these different things. And we don't really give December the time, the capacity, and the attention that it deserves. To start us off, if you could accomplish one thing in 30 days, what would you want to accomplish that could take you into January, like fired up?
I'll play devil's advocate before I answer that because I agree. It's not a wash month. I think it's a half month. I always say when the kids are out of school, it's kind of when things start to fizzle. And a lot of decision makers will use it as a reason to push it to the next year, just after so I think it's a ball. I think that you still have like these last 2 weeks to plant as many seeds as you can to be able to let them grow and build while the holidays are here, knowing that, January 5th-ish is when people will start to get back to
getting back to it.
Right. So it's even if it's 2 weeks, even if it isn't the full month there's still a lot of work that can be done within this time to be able to, one, mentally prepare for what's coming up next year, and two, close out loose ends. People are still working. I think that if you let off the gas now, with it being the beginning of December, oh God, it's just, it's scary. It is, and that goes back to the sales 101. I know you and I have talked about it in the past. It's staying consistent and doing what you say you're going to do. Sure, you take a vacation. Sure, which is allowed. You're allowed to take that for the holidays. You need to. I mean, some people are begging like we were talking before, to get back to work when it comes to the holidays, just to get getting some consistency, quiet, clean, all of the things. But I think that there's a lot more work that can still be done. And I don't want to sound insensitive, and I say this all the time, prefacing, I don't want to sound insensitive, but it's a laziness mentality if you think that you can let off the gas between now and then it's 5 weeks away.
Oh no, literally 5 whole weeks. Like it's interesting that you say that. And before we get into really deep into the episode, can you introduce who you are? Like, who are you? Like, I gave the introduction, but who are you? How would you define yourself? And what is something that you're working on right now that really makes you happy and brings some joy?
Yes, I'm sorry. So I think everybody knows me by now. If you don't know me, what's happening, right? Thank you. Yes, again, Deborah Newton, like you had mentioned, the founder, CEO, president, all the hats that I'm wearing for Newton Steel. It's a company that I built where I build sales systems and structure to build effective sales teams that are more aligned and easier to lead. My roots are here in Detroit. I grew up inner city. My backbone is my mom's legacy and what I built my company on, which is the name Newton Steel. Newton, of course, being my last name, and Steel with the E on the end was hers. I focus on helping companies stop guessing, stop spinning, calibrate, and start selling with clarity and accountability.
I have so many questions, and this is coming from somebody that has run multiple companies, have built schools, and just done all the things sales. And I will be different than probably many people. I love sales. Like, I absolutely love it. I've never worked in like a sales role. Interestingly, like my mom used to always say, like, you should work in sales. Well, you know what? I did. I was pharmaceutical sales when I got out of college. I just lied.
But you're people. I just, sorry, bounced my camera. You're selling yourself. I think that there's such a, I remember talking to an operations guy. He's like, oh, I'm just operation at selling. I'm like, but you have a team of operational people that you are getting the job done. You're selling yourself and why things need to be done. You're keeping the organization running. You're keeping organization. You're keeping consistency. You're still having to keep your personality and your emotions in check. That's selling. So even with you in schools and being able to build all that you've built, it's you're selling yourself first. And I think that there's a lot of people, they think of like the suitcase salesman or the used car salesman, or like what they see on the movies of what a salesperson is. But I don't know. I think just being human, you're constant, people making connections, building your community, like that same vulnerability, that same transparency that you're giving is selling. And to answer your question when you're on the introduction, that's what I'm excited about. That's what I love.
Let me ask you where does selling begin? Like, for those of us who didn't realize until now that we're kind of all selling something, where does this, I guess you said earlier that you build sales systems and structures. Mm-hmm. Where does this system begin? If I'm someone that wants to improve my ability to sell, or if I'm a company that wants to improve my ability to sell, where does that process begin?
I think it's how you show up. I think it's how you personally, you need to be in line with what it is that you're doing and what it is you want to do internally before you can start anything. And what that goal is. And it's something as simple as, let me think. I'll have to think through that one of a better example to explain. But I think that it starts internally. If it's something that I've always gone by, if I can't believe in it, or if I don't trust it, or if it's something that I know that's not going to, I'm all for a little smoke and mirrors, sure, I can't sell it. So you have to be aligned with what it is that you're saying, what you're doing, what you're selling. Otherwise, I don't know, like it's hard for me. I think that to be authentic and the authenticity to come out and to be passionate about something, I'm not an actor in that capacity. And I think that there's a lot of people, yeah, sure, they can. I've been a salesman, can sell a salesman, sure. But I think that that's where it starts.
That's an interesting perspective, because I do agree. I think the products, I think what's made me love sales is because I've always sold something that I actually built or that I believe in.
Right.
And it's in alignment with who I am. It would have been challenging for me to work for like a plumbing company and trying to like beat on people's doors and sell like this this product or service that I don't necessarily believe in.
But you said, like, you started out in the beginning with
Yeah.
pharmaceutical sales. When you did it, I'm sure you crushed it, or I'm sure you were trying to crush it because you
Yeah.
wanted to be good at it and you wanted to learn. My resume's bounced all over. The consistency, the constant thread has been sales. You know, I went to school to be an investigative. I wanted to be Diane Sawyer. I wanted to be an investigative reporter. To me, it's researching, it's finding the problem. It's, you know, any way that you can dig it up. That's what I love to do. And that's what sales is. And then I was in the medical piece. I was in the travel respiratory piece. I was in dental. I was in marketing promotion. I was in, and then fell into the logistics space these last 10, 11 years. But you learn and you love, and then it becomes a passion. I don't know if anybody wakes up and is like, I can't wait to be a freight broker.
No, literally.
You could, but you get into it. So then you kind of found your footing, right? Like, so you had all the jobs to get there, figuring out who you are, what you wanted to do,
Exactly.
what you wanted to wake up for, and then look at you now.
We still work. We still work.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through your career that got you here? You know, you weren't always like an expert in this. What were the various pieces or touch points throughout your career that best supported or even develops you to be who you are today?
Oh boy, yeah. And I even think to say an expert, I read once, if you're constantly learning and constantly going, if you're doing it for more, month over month, year over year, then you can call yourself an expert. I don't know if there's just someone out there saying what you can to be an expert. I'm constantly learning, and I'm not saying I have it all figured out. I'm figuring it out. I think if I think back, rather, for the involvement that I got myself into, the nooks and crannies and playing that MacGyver and really trying to figure it out, was for the people that I was selling to. It was wanting to learn more to make their lives better. You always hear the phrase, you don't need to know how the sausage is made. I do. And I do, one, because it's how my brain works, but two, I can really get in and help what the customer, what the client needs by learning how they operate and what they do. And that can go, it doesn't matter the company. It doesn't matter what they're selling, or if it's a plastics company, or if it's an aluminum company, or manufacturing, or healthcare. What it really comes down to, what I found, are the people that are doing it and how they are doing it, what the culture is within the company. Those companies that are so disjointed, I don't care if they're multi-million, billion, or 2-4 people within one office, that's what makes it work. That's what makes it happen. So to strip it all down and get in there and help with figuring that out, it's the people, and then being able to come in and make it. That's where I started to put 2 and 2 together of, hang on a second, like this, why is this so disjointed? Why is there so much turnover? Why are things, and even on the customer side, not necessarily within my companies that I worked for, but that's when I started thinking, like, it really is the culture, and keeping that culture, which is not easy. We're dealing with humans.
No, definitely. It's one of those constant challenges that you always continue to learn. What is one step or one tool or belief that I can develop so that I can be able to enhance my selling? Our audience is, I always feel like there's somebody listening in that wants to be better, that wants to grow. Where is that first step, or what is a tool that they could begin to do where they can be able to improve?
It's small steps. It's building the foundation and consistency. If I had to pick one thing, it's consistency.
And what does that look like?
It is, I always equate it to weight loss, weight gain. I love, and I listen, I'm not a big reader, but I listen to a lot of books. You and I have talked about the compound effect of small seemingly insignificant things that you are doing that can compound and grow. So I think that consistency, the weight loss, weight gain, it doesn't necessarily happen overnight. 3-4 months in of having better habits, you'll see the results. Same thing on the opposite. 3-4 months of, not so good habits, you'll see those results.
Exactly.
It's the same thing when it comes to sales. You're building that discipline, you're building that within yourself. You're making it a habit. Some people say 30 days, some people say 72 days, whatever the number is, you're making, it's those little wins, it's those dopamine hits of consistency.
Exactly.
And then the activity that you're doing equals results. If it's, and again, that goes for the bad behaviors too. If you're constantly letting yourself cut out 30 minutes each day or take a longer lunch or compound that time and see how much is added up that you could have done differently. And then take a step back and look at it and level it up. It doesn't just because you're doing that. And that's the same thing for leaders when it comes to KPIs and different things changing. Once you have that structure, something shifts in your industry, something shifts in your company, more money, more problems. You have to take a step back and calibrate said processes, activity, add in more people if you need it, leverage your community, like whatever it is, those things. So it's constantly, and I don't know if that's an accountability partner or if it's, there's so many tools and different things that you can do to make sure you stay on track these days. It's almost too easy, but
one of the things that I really appreciate about you is your first vulnerability, but your expertise. I remember a few weeks ago when we were working together and you wrote like this 10, 15 page document of all things sales, just off the top of your head.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew nothing about sales and I was trying to close the gap and get some secrets that I can be able to leverage or utilize within my organization, what are some of those secrets? What are some of those tools that even you documented that we can glean on so that we can be able to improve on our practices as well?
Systems, processes. The word systems I know is kind of confusing even for myself, but it's not more leads. It's not more busy work. It's a map, a roadmap, a structure. Being able to have that defined. And you saw I don't have it here in front of me, but the chicken scratch of, the 10 pages where the brain dump of just everything that I know about everything. And then of course it's squirrel and you're kind of bouncing. It's still within that same framework. But I think that having the map, having that structure, working backwards from it, working forwards, again, it's going to change what you're doing right now. And then, God, I can't tell you over this past 6 to 9 months, how much things have pivoted or changed. It's like I had a plan going like this and the plan was really like this, you just, some things you can't control. But I think that having a map, having it laid out.
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
And that consistency. Inconsistency is the silent killer. Yeah. If it's not, and being able to, again, that map, I don't want to talk in quotes or cliches, but you can't scale confusion. If you don't know what it is that you're going for, if you don't have that defined, to me personally, it's paralyzing.
Yeah. Could you provide a framework that people could utilize that can kind of walk them through the step-by-step process?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even if you're talking to the multi-million-dollar companies or someone that's starting out, fresh out on their own, similar to what I've done, absolutely. To me, if you have the foundation, those pillar pieces, that's how all these bigger companies, that's how they got to the multi-million-dollar companies. It's that consistency that's coming and keeping themselves in check to do it. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed because it seems, oh, I can't do that. Yes, you can, especially now with the technologies. It's not saying that it's easy, but it's much easier. It's much easier. I'm sure that you can attest to that with your now being able to do podcasts like this, having ChatGPT, all the different Perplexity, all the different AI tools. If they're not as complicated, it's not as scary as it looks.
So what if I was looking for that framework and I wanted to be able to document or take some notes during this conversation on what I could be able to implement in my organization, or in my life as I continue to build my professional repertoire. What are some things that I would write down so that I can be able to improve upon my selling techniques or how I'm approaching this work?
That's a good question. Take out the guesswork. That's that piece of, again, to use the word I just used is paralyzing. What does it look like? Get clear on what it is that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to minimize or discredit how complex things are, but break it, strip it down. From there, similar to what you and I did with the brain dump. Who do you know? What do you know about that particular industry or what it is that you're trying to do? And then the who do you know within that same industry or what you're trying to do that you can research. Yeah. And start from there. As far as the sales consistency, without having those things defined, how do you know what you're selling? That's kind of without having those, that's where you always start. Start with the fundamentals that you don't think, no, I want to. You have to be able to start here. I always go back to when I worked for a large company, they had all of the technologies and all of the fun stuff that you're able to do. It was awesome. Everyone's demoing and we're doing all of the, not necessarily live, but it was a demo. So it's like screenshots and different things, prefab data. No one had a login or knew how to log in to use the product. So that's great that you have all these bells and whistles and all these things, but if you don't know how that sausage is made, if you don't know what it is that you're trying to sell or try to get into, all of that work, all of that action, it's kind of a waste. So I think that, I hope that answers your question as far as where to start, what it is that you're doing and being able to build from there. Or
why this work, Deborah? I think that, I've evolved and gotten into the work that I do now. I never would have thought 10, 20 years ago that I would even be doing what I'm doing now. Why this work at this moment?
It's funny how your plan and God's plan are two different things, right? Not always, or a version of what it is. I love it. I do. I really enjoy it. I love working with people. I love building relationships such as this, networking through our communities. Yeah. We live in two different states. One day, I'm sure that we'll be able to meet, but having the ability to work with people and be real and authentic, vulnerable. Like, I don't have it all figured out. I don't think anybody does. I mean, let's be honest. But I think that it's working with people and constantly wanting to be better, constantly wanting to learn more, to help more, and to be better. And maybe it sounds cheesy, but it is. It's It's the helping piece. I think that's who my mom was, literally giving our coats off of the coat rack when kids were walking down the street in Detroit without them. And, just being able to help and to provide. That's why I do it. That's why I love it.
What would be your message to someone listening in right now that wants to improve their processes, that wants to continue to engage and learn from you, and that is just trying to find their way in their industry?
What was the question of
what would you say to those people?
Oh goodness. That everything's going to be okay. In the words of Bob Marley, everything's going to be all right. No, I'm just kidding. But just don't give up. Trust me, I've come to that threshold of wanting to just, forget it. There's still some piece of it that's there. I mean, your inner thoughts and your self-talk are what you need to pay attention to. I think that emotional intelligence that everyone bangs the drum about, like it is real, and it is something that you need to be very aware of. If you're working for a company, you can do it for them. Why can't you do it for yourself? You are the company.
That's good.
Yeah.
Where can people find out about the work that you're doing, the framework that you use to be able to enhance and develop companies, and how they can continue to engage or even invest in the work that you're doing?
Mostly on my website as well as on LinkedIn. I try to push out everything and anything through their LinkedIn, smoke signals, pigeons, any way to get in touch with me. I mean, I'm more than happy to talk with anybody. I've been there. I love connecting with people and being able to network and help someone's business grow any way possible. So yeah, I think that it's whether they're local or not, I have connections all throughout the country. I've lived all throughout the country. That's why I'm here right now. It's just connections and being able to leverage them, and it's all the things that I'm preaching, I'm doing. It's doing what you say you're going to do, having that consistency, wanting to follow up, showing up. You have to be that person that you would want to work with. Otherwise, why would somebody want to work with you?
Yeah. If I wanted to improve my sales in 24 hours, where do I start?
Sleep. At 24 hours, I mean, that's I know you like your time frames. I do. And that's, I would ask you that. If I were to ask you that question, what would you say?
Clarify your offer, clarify your market, understand your customer journey, and understand the customer journey that your ideal avatar is going through. And once you identify that customer journey, does your offer align with what they want? And do you know enough about their problems, their goals, their objections, their frequently asked questions to be able to sell, rewrite your script, and understand your processes? One of the challenges that I've always ran into is that too often as entrepreneurs, we're pivoting and not understanding where we need to pivot. So we'll change businesses, we'll change products, we'll change systems, we'll change everything. But I think it's important to pivot one thing at a time. So it's like, all right, is this a sales script issue? Is this a avatar or a customer issue? Is this a product issue? Is this a pricing issue?
Mm-hmm.
Is this a qualifying issue? Are we just not doing a good enough job on the front end qualifying our person? And then go down that list of various things in whatever order works best for that individual. And that will allow you to kind of tweak things.
You're right. It's not just because one thing's bad doesn't mean everything is bad. Yeah. And I think those things that you had mentioned of product or service, person, customer, client, I think, are you using avatar? That's a new term I haven't heard, but it's an interesting way of saying it. But yes, like all of those things that you had mentioned, pricing, all those are pillars. Those are the
Yeah.
exact same pillars. Those are the foundation that you're building your business, that the house is being built on. And without a strong foundation, and yeah, you might need to go back and pivot
Mhm.
some things. They might ripple through, but it doesn't mean you have to rewrite everything.
No, you
It's
don't.
one piece. And that's a very, I mean, well said. That's a great way to say it. And it's building that foundation, making sure that the foundation doesn't have any cracks in it, and then being able to build on top of that to continue to grow. That's it.
And it's a challenge because I think, we as entrepreneurs, especially as founders, when you're starting something, you want revenue to come in so quickly, but your processes are super important. And like you mentioned earlier, like consistency is important. I think if something's not working, you first have to look at you as the leader, and then look at your processes, and then look at probably the people that are around you. Then you got to ask yourself, well, what of these things need to be adjusted? And then
Mhm.
that will kind of guide you to being able to figure out, like, all right, what needs to be adjusted here.
Right. And the same thing with your audience, with your avatar, with the people that you're selling to. A lot of people get overwhelmed because I got to get to everything and everyone. Start here and then build on that.
Yeah.
When I first started my career, it's like, okay, call the whole country. And I'm like, it was so overwhelming. It was very overwhelming. So I just took the Northeast, I took Massachusetts, and just took it, it focused me, and then it helped.
Yeah.
And then to be able to pick things up, we want to get married on the first date. We
Yeah,
want to go straight to Final Jeopardy, but that's not the case.
it's
You
not.
have to go through the processes, and the people component as you're building onto your team, not forgetting don't forget where you come from. I know that expression is, but not forgetting those pieces and constantly putting yourself in check, not letting your ego get in the way as you are growing. It's okay to have discussions, people not agreeing with you or believing everything that you're saying, if it's in a safe space. And I know that we talked about this with in your podcast-a-thon with Amy. It's that you have to be able to be vulnerable
Exactly.
around your people, because if you have yes men, or you shut down or get rid of people that aren't telling you their opinions,
Exactly.
then that's a whole different world of hurt. And I'm sure you've seen that too. I've seen a lot of companies, they're doing so great, but then they can't get out of their own way.
Mm-hmm. And I think, oftentimes companies can't get out of their own way is because there's a person that doesn't want to get out of their own ego.
100%. I think that's history. If you look at everything that has history, I mean, from everything, I don't know, Hamilton just came into my head. I don't know why but it's someone or something that is their ego.
Oh,
and
100%.
the ripple effect that it has. And it's great. You should have an ego. There's a good way to get around it. It's not all kumbaya. We're here to make money. You know what I mean? You're here to run a business. You're here to, the money will come if you're keeping that integrity and that consistency. It's ego. You can almost pin it back to a time and a place and a specific situation, or a few of them that compounded that.
Oh, 100%. And I know, even, as I reflect, and I'm doing a lot of reflection lately, is, the times this year on things that didn't work, it was probably, I was either told prior to me making the decision that it wouldn't work, or B, I just kind of jumped before even getting counsel. And it was my own selfishness, my own arrogance and ego that led to some major barriers and challenges that we experienced, both, professionally, but then also even some things personally, because you don't want to follow. There's an African proverb that says it's a fool that learns from their own mistakes, but it's a wise man that learns from the mistakes of others. And I think oftentimes we have to understand that we need coaches, we need mentors, we need people that have been through these processes, that have went through the fire already, to be able to guide us through. And we have to put our ego on the back burner.
Right. No, well said, because that's why we have people. Because if you're the only voice in your head that's telling you, and you think that you're the smartest in the room, then that's all the voices in your head.
No,
you start doing that in your head.
definitely.
I think I have not a hard time. I think that is absolutely valid, and being able to have counsel, to be able to again, even the Bible, it has that, to be able to have your community, your people to bounce things off of, to advise with. I think that that's not necessarily everybody.
Yeah.
You have to know your people, but you also need to know when to, as a leader, make that decision and stand
Exactly.
and stand it. So do all of your research, talk to whoever it is that you need to talk to, shoot things, A/B test, whatever it is, but to stand in that. And if it's wrong or need to be tweaked, that's okay.
Yeah.
But you have that confidence to be able to move on, because some people, and I notice this about myself, getting stuck in that loop. And then it's kind of like the buyer's remorse of, oh God, should I have done that? Should I have done that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm almost putting it out there to come back and bite me, but that's the decision that I made.
No,
This is
definitely.
what it's going to be. It's tough.
No, it is. It is. But it's necessary.
Yeah, it
And
is. No, it is.
I don't
And
think
that's why you started what you started. It's almost like that self-talk that you're going back to of, you are the expert. You do know
Yeah.
what you're doing. You have all of the I call it the 3 C's, the criteria of what your customers' critical criteria, like you have all of those.
Mhm.
You have everything that's checked. Sometimes you have to throw it to the wall or calibrate it thereafter. But that's why you have other people, so that you're not just in your head, you're bouncing things off, but you ultimately have to make that decision.
Exactly. Deborah, where can people find you? And how can people today start working with you?
Like I mentioned before, my website, there's a way that messages right to me. It's Newton Steel, again, steel as STEELE.com. Newton, I know I pronounce the T. Everyone says Newton, but newtonsteel.com is my website. LinkedIn, of course, under my name, Deborah Newton, or Deborah C. Newton, I believe is how it shows up.
Yeah.
It's on LinkedIn, as well as both business and personal page. I think between those, like I mentioned, any way that you can get in touch with, I think that's the easiest ways. I don't know if there's anything else short of giving cell phone
Yeah.
number, but I don't need
No, don't do that. Don't do that for me.
I know.
No, Deborah, I truly appreciate you. And I think one of the biggest takeaways that I gather from today is that it's about consistency. It's about developing processes. It's about creating a strong foundation so that when you build something, when you scale something, when you grow something, if the foundation isn't built correctly, it's going to crack, and there's going to be these leaks in your operation that are leading to you not being successful and being able to drive your team, drive your sales process to where they need to be, because structure can't happen without clarity. Like these sales systems and structures that you develop, if you're not clear on your offer, you're not clear on your person, you're not clear on your process, and you're not clear on the people that are going to be able to help you on this team to be able to grow that thing, then it's not going to be successful. So if you're somebody that wants assistance and guidance to help close those gaps, you need somebody that has those secrets, has that experience in sales, in building sales teams, sales structures, sales systems. I want you to reach out to Deborah. And I want you to not ask for her phone number. I want you to actually go through the various methods that she shared a little bit earlier. Deborah, I appreciate you so much. And our audience members listening in, I want to ask you one question that we always ask on the Contagious Culture podcast is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you bring is the culture you create. And I want you to make yours worth catching. My name is Kyle King. This is another episode of the Contagious Culture podcast with Deborah C. Newton with a T. And we will see you all next episode.
Thank you so much, Kyle.
Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.